Hi guys, welcome back to Subject Made Space, where you're going to learn at your own pace. Today, we are continuing with software development life cycles, and the topic which we are going to cover is Sdlc models. So, in today's session, I am going to cover Waterfall Model, V Model, Spiral Model, Incremental Model, and Agile Model. So what I'm going to cover, let me just do this. Okay. So we are going to cover waterfall model, V model, spiral model, incremental model, and agile model. So these five are the most common used models, and especially agile model. Agile model is the most important model and the most frequent model used in the market. We are going to learn how it works and why this is the best model which most companies use. Okay, so moving forward. Okay, before going into the models, let me just give you a quick recap about the phases. So, we have 7 phases. What are those? Requirement analysis, requirement gathering, designing, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. Now, these are the phases. But how do we implement it? How do we implement all these 7 phases in a while developing a software is the model, definition of a model. So basically implementing all these phases in a software development project is called as a software development lifecycle model. Okay, got it? You can just take a screenshot. Great. Now, let's start with our very first model. The first model which we are going to cover is waterfall model. What exactly happens in waterfall model? Let us understand. So, we have 7 phases: requirement gathering, analysis, designing, development, testing, deployment, maintenance. While implementing a model, let us just take a simple example. Okay, so there is a client A and we are the company B. Okay, so A tends to B and A asks to give me a software application. Now the first thing is B will ask for the requirements for A. So A will give the requirements. So the first stage is requirement gathering. Now in waterfall model, what exactly happens is each phase is completed one by one. So if you get requirement gathering, you'll directly not start designing or development. No, right? First, here we are going to understand the requirement completely. Once understanding the requirement completely, then we are going into analysis. Once our analysis is completed, then we'll start our designing part. After that, development. After that, testing. After that, deployment. And after that, we are going to maintain the application. Now, if you see this pattern, you notice that it is a waterfall. It is flowing like a waterfall. One phase after the another phase. Hence, this model is called as waterfall model. So in waterfall model, we are going to completely dedicate ourselves in phase by phase. If we are doing requirement gathering, then we are just doing requirement gathering. If we are doing requirement analysis, we are just doing requirement analysis. Similarly, if we are doing design, then development, testing, we are just going to do either design, development, or testing. So these are what we say. This is how waterfall model reacts. Got it? So waterfall model is nothing but implementing the software phase by phase is called as waterfall model. Hope you understood. Let me till that you can take a screenshot. Till that I'll just erase the markers. Got it. So I hope it's clear. We'll move to next one. Okay. So we have understood waterfall model, but let us understand what are the disadvantages and advantages. Now, what is the advantage? The documentation is very strong. Means all after phase one, after documentation is done, after phase two documentation, like documentation is perfect, and the process, each phase is perfect. Each phase is clearly defined what we need to do in each phase. We have a dedicated team, and that dedicated team will work completely dedicated to that phase. Suppose business analysts are there, requirement gathering is done. We are just going to focus on requirement analysis after we get the gathering. After the gathering part is done, we are just going to analyze the requirement. We are not going to move forward to designing until and unless our analysis part is perfect. So the major disadvantage is after requirement analysis, you cannot go back to requirement gathering again. After development, you cannot go back to designing. After testing, you again cannot go back to development. So waterfall always flows from up to down. Did you see any waterfall going down to up? No, right? Yeah, exactly. So we are the most disadvantaged part is you cannot go back to previous phase. What happened? You cannot back to previous phase. Once move to next phase. Understood? Hence, so requirements change is a big task. Means now client A came to client B. Now, the company started developing. So, these requirement gathering, analysis, designing part is done. And we are currently in development phase. So now, client comes back and asks, hey, I want this feature to add it. Can you implement it? Now see, again we need, if there is any requirement change, again we need to go back from the beginning. Again we need to do the requirement gathering. Again we need to do the requirement analysis. Again designing part. Then we are going to develop. So that is a big headache. So hence requirements change is a very big task. Now, waterfall model is only good if your project is small. If there are only specified requirements to make an application, then that is perfect. But you have large things to do, large project, a big project, then definitely it is the very toughest and difficult model which we are going to implement it. I hope you got it. Till the time I erase, you can just rewind back and what we say, you can just check and you can just take a screenshot or make a note of these things. Let me just erase. Great. Okay, so we have understood what exactly is waterfall model and what are advantages and disadvantages of that model. Now, moving forward is the V model. Now, what is V model? Now, V stands for verification and validation. In the last class, in the introduction class, we have understood what is verification and what is validation. Verification means, are we building the right product? Validation means, did we build the right product? So this part is verification versus validation. Now, what exactly happens in this case? So A will come to be. A will come to be with the requirement gathering. He will say that you need to build the application. B will accept. And once the requirement is gathered, we will start verification validation itself. Like we're not waiting for verification to complete first and then validation. Here we are implementing both verification and validation in the same pace. Like once verification is done, for that phase, we are quickly validating. So once requirement gathering is done, means once the verification is done, we will start validating. Now in this, after requirement gathering, we are going to do acceptance testing, where we are going to get acceptance criteria. We'll go much deeper into that, but you just understand the model for now. Okay, so requirement gathering. Once after requirement is gathered, we are going to do acceptance testing. Next is our system design. In system design, we are going to overall give the application, you can say analysis phase. After an analysis phase, once the architecture is ready, we are going to do system testing. Means we are just cross verifying it with system design and the requirements. Did we do the right thing or not? Next is detailed designing part. Now it's detailed designing part. Designing. Once the designing is developed, once the designing is completed, we are going to do integration testing, which means we are going to look into each and every element and understand how it reacts and if there is any problems in the workflows or not. Okay. Next is the development or the coding part. After development, we are going to do unit testing. Now, unit testing is mostly carried out by developers. Okay, so once the dev returns the code, he will do the first basic testing in his local to check if he made the right thing or not and if it is breaking something or not. So this is V model. As you can see, we are going to do like quickly, like verification and validation in parallel. The thing is, we are doing it in a parallel way. We are not waiting for all phases to complete and then validating. We are parallelly validating the verification part. Hope you got it. Hope you are clear. Great. Now, but we have finished this. Let me just erase and then we will move forward to know what are the advantages and disadvantages of V model. Okay. Huh. Now, what are the advantages? If you see, after requirement gathering phase, if you got any bug or if you find any irrelevant or anything which is not matching the user requirement, you can quickly come back to requirement gathering phase. You can quickly analyze the bug. If there is something design failure, with system testing we can quickly do this, and with integration testing you will perform like the designing is not nothing wrong, and with unit testing you are going to find like okay there are no issues, and if there are any issues you can point those issues very early. You can find those issues very early, and you can give the feedback to the respective teams, and you will build the better product. So what you'll do, you'll build a better product. So an advantages P model is, in V model bugs are identified at a very early stage, and we will build a better product. Now what are disadvantages? Only disadvantages is requirements cannot be changed frequently. Like if the requirement is changed frequently, then again we need to do testing validation part frequently, which is not actually much, you know, feasible for big projects. This model is also good for the small type of projects, not for the big projects. Okay, great. So this was about V model. Hope you understood what exactly is V model and what are the advantages and disadvantages of it. Moving forward is the spiral model. You can see what happens in spiral model is, first, we are going to identify determine any objective. We are going to identify the objective. We are going to understand the requirements. We are going to understand what exactly is the objective of this project. Then we are going to identify the risks involved. Like what happens when this, what will happen if we do this. We are going to analyze the risk. Then comes development and testing. We are then going to develop and test, and then again we'll plan the next iteration. So if you see, it will start from object determination, then we are going to identify risk, then development and test, then pushing, planning the next iteration. Similarly, it will goes on like this, like this, like this. It's just like a spiral. Got it? So spiral model is divided into four quarters. First is objective determination. We are going to understand what exactly is the objective. Next is identifying risk. Second quarter is identifying risk. We are going to understand what exactly are the risks involved. Third is after clearing all the risks, we are going to develop and we are going to test the features and application. Next fourth phase is we are going to plan the next iteration. Got it? So this was about spiral model. Now let us understand advantages and disadvantages. Okay. So the model is best for identifying risks. See, before even developing and testing, we are identifying the high risks possible. So it is best for identifying risks. If there are some complex products or like large products, then this model is the best, because if the product is more complex, the risks will be more high. If the project is very much deeper, then the what we say, it might be full of risk. Hence, if we are identifying risks in the second quarter, which is in the spiral model itself, then that is good. Okay, so advantages, model is best for identifying risks, and it is suitable for large and complex products. Now, what are disadvantages? If you see, it's very, very complex to manage and it requires so much expertise. If if it's so much complex, first we'll or determine object, then identifying the risk part, then developing and testing, and then again we plan the same iteration. It keeps on repeating. So it requires, so it is very complex to manage, and it also requires so much expertise. If if anyone fails at identifying risk, then it would be a huge problem. If there is something crashed in development, and then it will be a huge problem. So it requires so much expertise and expenses as well. So spiral model is used a bit less in any of the organization. So these are advantages and disadvantages of spiral model. You can just take a screenshot. I'll just wait for you for 5 seconds. Great. Now let's move to incremental model. Incremental and agile model, these two are the most used models. In fact, incremental model also have some issues, but this is much stable. You know what exactly happens here? Let me just quickly draw one example. Now see, client A, client B. Okay, so incremental model is iterative model. What exactly happens? Let us see. Now you'll get some requirements from A. He will say, I want, suppose he will say, I want three features. First feature, second feature, third feature. And for first feature, you will have many sub features. Suppose we say first model have three sub features, second model have two sub features, third model has four sub features. Okay, so how will you do it in incremental model? Now, first is the requirement gathering analysis phase. Then we are going to start developing the software. After development, we are going to test the software, and then after testing, we are going to deploy. We are going to deploy to the production. Suppose build one stands for feature one. In feature one, you have built three sub modules. Whatever he felt like, whatever he gave you, perfectly developed the software. Now, suppose this is the feature one. Now, feature one is your build one. First, whatever features are there, you are going to design and develop, and we are going to test. And then, before even building the phase two and phase three features, see, I have just built the first feature. I didn't build the second feature yet. I didn't build the third feature yet. Before even releasing these two features, we are going to release our first feature to A. We are going to release our first feature to A. Now A will test from his side, and whatever he wants the feedback to be given, he will give the feedback. Means, suppose in feature A, first feature, A find out something unusual from the requirement, or he wants an extra feature in the requirement, he will contact B again and says, please give me this feature, extra feature, or remove this feature. And after that, we are going to parallelly start from build 2. Means we are going to start with the second feature. And once the second feature is done with development and testing, we are going to push the second feature to A. We are going to push the second feature to A. Again, he will check. Again, he will come back with the requirements. Again, we are going to do the requirements. And again, we are going to push it. And next comes the third phase, third feature. And so similarly, we are going to design the test, and again we are going to push the product or release to A. Again, he will test, he will find out some flaws, or he will find out some more useful features to be added. He will give you a feedback about the same. Again, we are going to do the process from requirement gathering to implementation. Here you have understood that we are not delivering the complete product. We are delivering features by features. So, but we are doing it parallelly. We are doing it parallelly. Here is the main difference between agile and incremental or increment model. Here we are doing it parallelly. There would be separate in the team there would be separate members focusing only on feature 1. There would be separate team only focusing on feature 2, only focusing on feature 3. And whatever changes will happen, again we are going to come back, we're going to rebuild the phase, restructure the code, push back to A. All these things happen in the incremental model. Clear? Okay, so hope it's clear. You just take a screenshot, and if it is not clear, I suggest you please rewind the video and watch it again. You will feel more confident about this model understanding. Now, moving to advantages and disadvantages. So, what is the most major advantage that customers or the user will quickly get the features. The core features would be released quickly to user. Now, in our case, A had 3 features: first, second, and third. Without wasting any time for second and third feature, he will quickly get the first feature so that he will understand and quickly use it. And next, it also helps. It also customer feedback means customer, the client will give you feedback about your product, about your features, about the features which you have developed, and there would be you're going to do it again. Now, this is the advantage. Like, customer feedback is the advantage, but it is also a disadvantage. Why? Because suppose now we have started build 2, we have done for build 2. Okay, now again A will come back and say, oh, no, I want some additional features, please do it again. Again the whole process of Sdlc will repeat. So it is like continuous addition, expand the project. Suppose, I mean, if A has just these 3 in first feature, if A has just these 3 sub features, and if we want another sub feature, you see that project will get expanded. Project keeps on get expanded. Now 4 features, maybe after that next is 5th feature. We cannot judge, we cannot decide. When we cannot, we should not judge, because he is the consumer, he is the user, he has right to give feedback, and we have right to do the improvement. So continuous addition to feature expands the project, and tracking multiple increment releases would be a big headache. So actually this is not visible. I'll just uh, that's fine. This is customer feedback loop helps product build better. And this line is tracking multiple increments, releases, and deadlines is much harder. Okay. So this is about incremental model. Hope you understood. Great. You can take a screenshot of this model. Then we'll go to our final model, which is Agile Model, which is very, very, very important and most asked interview questions in Agile. We are going to cover Agile Model in depth in our next modules, but let us understand the model first. Yeah, tracking multiple increments. Okay. You can just take a screenshot of this. Great. Now moving forward, one of the best models till now is Agile Model. Okay. Here in Agile Model, we are going to focus on sprint. We have a term called sprint. Now, let's what is a sprint? What is a sprint? Now, a sprint is a timeline in which we are going to do all our SDLC phases. Now, client A will come to client B. He will ask for the product. Okay. Now, in like in the previous example, we have said he will having three features: first feature, second feature, and third feature. And under features, he would be having sub features. Okay. Now he will come to A. Then the very first step is that all will be sitting in one meeting together, like requirement gathering team, business analyst team, UI UX team, development team, testing team, deployment, and feedback. Of course, I must testing. Okay. There is a little bit incorrect in this thing. Testing is missed, but okay. You can just consider feedback as testing here. We'll correct it in later point. Okay. So, okay. So yeah, where were we? So after in that specific, so all the team members from development requirement gathering team to testing team will sit in one meeting for and analyze, will break each feature into each sprint. Suppose they are going to set themselves the timeline. Suppose suppose company decides to deliver the feature A, first feature, in 21 days. Okay. Now, what this 21 exactly means? So, this is the timeline given. After discussion, we are going to set the timeline, and that timeline we are going it to the client. So, indirectly, we will conduct a meeting with all our team members, including designing, development, testing, deployment, everyone, and say that hey user A, we are going to give your first feature in 21 days. So, this is the sprint timeline. So, what is a sprint? The timeline. It is the time taken to complete all the SDLC phases. Means in this 21 days, you need to analyze the requirement, you need to design, you need to develop, you need to deploy, you need to test. And after test, you need to deploy it to the production, you need to deploy it to the user. And again, user will start using the application. Hence, user will be given the first feature in hand. So now next, in sprint, now after every sprint we will have something called as retrospective meeting. In that retrospective meeting, again all the team members of all the SDLC phases are going to sit together and analyze what went wrong. and how can we improve it better. Okay. After each sprint, we are going to sit again and we are going to analyze what went wrong and how can we do it better. So what is sprint? Sprint is nothing but the timeline in which we need to perform all the SDLC phases. Okay. So after requirement analysis, designing, development, we need to test it. In under these 21 days, we need to complete designing, we need to complete development, we need to complete deployment, and we need to test it. And after completing these things, we also need to push that to the client. Okay. So here we will having it as sprint wise basis. Sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4, similarly. And each sprint timeline based on the features. We don't have any specific rule like it should be only 21 days or it should be only 6 days or it should be only 3 days. It can be any n number of days, but we need to specify the timeline. Okay, I'm going to develop and push this in 31 days. I will develop and push this in 2 weeks, which is 14 days. We need to give the strict deadline and we need to stick to the deadline. That is the agile model. And this model is used frequently in every company. So we are going to do it as sprint wise basis. We are not going to stop for anyone. Once the gathering, analysis, designing, development is done, we will quickly start testing and we'll give a go ahead. Once we give a go ahead, it will push to the client and client will start using it. Similarly, we will be having multiple sprints where we are going to do the same task again. Got it? So this was Agile Model. Let me just finally brief you about the advantages and disadvantages. Okay, in simple terms, Agile Model is worked on based on sprint basis. In specific sprint, we are going to give a timeline to the user, and within the timeline, we are going to complete all the phases of Sdlc and push, and user should be start using it. That is the agile model. It will be done on sprint basis. Okay, great. You can just take a screenshot of this. Instead of feedback, it's testing. Maybe you can feel that we are only we are testing teams, we as testing teams give feedback to the application, so you can just consider feedback as testing itself. Okay. Okay, great. Now finally, let's understand advantages and disadvantages and close it for the day. Okay, advantages are it's super flexible. If there is something suppose A tested complete feature 1, feature 2, and sub feature 1 for the sprint, we were pushing only sprint 1, feature 1. So he tested, he finds some flaws, or you can say he finds some more support. I mean, he needs some more things to be added. We can easily gather and we can use it in next sprint. It is not mandatory to do in this sprint. In next sprint, we are going to prioritize the first sprint ka backlog and then we are going to start sprint 2. So suppose if the requirement was changed, it will go in next sprint, and in next sprint that requirement is being picked up, and after completing the sprint the feature is going to A, means the client. Okay, so it is super flexible. It is like super flexible and changes will be handled very easily. And here we are not giving the complete product to A. Like suppose we are not going to develop A, feature B, feature C, feature D, and then give to A. No, we are doing it step by step. Once we complete feature A, we are pushing. Once we complete feature B, we are pushing. Once we complete C, we are pushing. Okay? So this is what are the advantages. So what are the disadvantages? Continuously we need to get the feedback from the clients. We need to get what went wrong. We need to discuss with the clients. So there must be active feedback from the clients. And it would be good but in larger super big large projects or large teams, it would be very difficult to manage. If you have a very big team, it would be very difficult to manage which team by when it should be happening. It would be a lot more complex, but it is best for the small and medium sized project, even large term projects if handled correctly. Okay, so this was all about agile model and all about the models. So what we have understood today, what is an SDLC model? What are those five models? Can we repeat it again? Great. I'll just repeat those five again. Just this thing. Okay. First is waterfall model. Waterfall model. Second is V model. Third is spiral model. Next is incremental model, and fifth is agile model. So we understood all these five modules, which are required, which are the basic topics in SDLC, and most of the questions will be asking from SDLC as well, interview questions. So we are covered all these models. Great. So thanks for sticking till the end. And in the next video, we are going to cover software testing lifecycle. We have understood how we develop a product and what are the models used in while developing a product. In the next video, we are going to talk how do we test a product? What are the SOPs? Means what are the standard operations which we are going to do? What is our testing life cycle? So yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for sticking till the end. And if you like our channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.